What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Shared Screens Podcast. The podcast here at Shared Screens where there is no topic. There is no... What?
What an opening. What an opening line.
That was good. That was great.
No, I like it. It's good. I'm not making fun of you. I'm laughing because it's funny.
It's the only one where there is no topic. There's nothing specific here. We're not only talking about games. We're just here to shoot the shit. First thing, Austin, I want to know if this is a me or a you thing. Does Liaren's sound waves, like, are they blurry to you? Are they huge and blurry?
I mean, all of them are blurry, but yes, Liaren's are also blurry.
Yeah. Do I need to turn down my gain? Am I too loud?
I don't hear you as too loud, but according to Zencastr, yes.
These are what my waves look like on Marvel School for Dummy every week.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I turned down like just my audio in general when you started talking, Liaren. So if that tells you anything.
Also, if you
She's just casually eating.
right-click on the person in Zencastr, it will give you the option show all control, and you can turn down people's volume and shit.
Oh, that's new.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's new or I just learned how to do it. That's, but beyond that.
What's the difference,
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Anyway, joining me today we have Austin.
Hello, I am here.
And of course, we also have Liaren.
Hi.
What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing?
Well, we're starting a little late because I needed to shower and do my makeup, and that took longer than I thought it was going to.
How dare you? How dare you? Some people.
Yeah. Sorry.
The
That's what you get
audacity.
for having a girl in a group. I don't know what to tell you. But Jordan and I were testing I've been having issues with my internet forever, and I finally got an Ethernet cord, and we were like testing to make sure it worked before I came on today. And I was like, all right, I got to get off so I can go shower because I look like a toe. And Jordan, without missing a beat, just goes, well, some people have foot fetishes. So that's how my day's going, honestly.
Listen, what I meant by that is like, hey, everyone out there, you're someone's type. Like, if you ever look at yourself, you're like, I look like a toe. Because, Liaren, you'll know, and we don't have to, like, out this person, but, like, I have a friend that we've always said looks like a toe. We've roasted this man for years calling him he looked like a toe. Or no, we actually said he looked like the thumbs because he is just like...
Marcus.
No, I do have a friend with that name, though.
That's funny.
So that's going to sound bad. No. But yeah, no matter what you look like, you're someone's types. If you look like a toe, it's cool. It's
Guys,
fine.
there are people that want to marry serial killers. I promise you. There's somebody out there for you.
Yeah, that day, the day I found out that there were like people that on the outside, they were like, I love Charles Manson and I want to marry him. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong?
12 women,
And there's
Jordan.
me. You don't want that kind of attention, I promise.
No. He has a swastika tattooed into his forehead. You don't want to be Charles Manson.
Yeah.
You don't want the women that want to marry Charles Manson as a rule.
Fair enough. Yeah, crazies go for crazies.
Okay. What I enjoyed is that Marvel was like, what if we made fun of the Manson girls and gave fucking spoilers for She-Hulk, but gave Abomination a cult of women that want to like marry him.
Yeah.
His 7 brides or whatever.
I love that arc though. That was hilarious. Because I feel like we spent that whole show being like, he's fucking not reformed. Like he's gonna come back and be and no, the entire series, he was like, I just want to sit in my little sun house and relax and meditate. And we're like, you know what? Good for you, Emil.
I think he nailed that role too. Honestly, like I loved his performance. I thought it was great.
Oh yeah, no, it was great.
He was great, and like I have nothing to compare it to. So because I don't.
You've never seen The Incredible Hulk?
No, well, I don't think so.
Here's the thing.
Fair, it is a huge just completely different planet type of performance from what
it is, but it doesn't seem
movie.
like a character assassination thing because you're like, this man's been in prison for all these years. Yeah, that changes a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not saying that like, oh my god, like it's a completely different person. I'm saying, oh my god, it's a completely different person, and it worked. Like it didn't feel forced or whatever. Like it just somehow worked.
Yeah. What about you, Austin? Man. Anything new in your life? Anything you want to bring to the table today?
What about me? No. I'm tired as hell. I have let's see. I did a review somewhat recently, and I have 2 more I have to do tomorrow, and then I have another one right around the corner. So I'm just really looking forward to writing my life away.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on that one with you tomorrow, and so far, I'm not that far in, but so far I'm like, yikes.
What game?
We
We could say because it'll be out by the time this uploads. But Atomic Heart. So if you're listening to this, go check out our Atomic Heart review.
Very scandalous title.
Dude, I haven't played a good game all year. It's been rough. We're almost into March, and I have not played a good game. I just need to. Yeah,
To be fair,
Austin, what was the first game we reviewed this year that I played 50% of the way through? Was fucking Forspoken.
Did you play Hi-Fi Rush?
I've played it, and I have not beat it. And okay, it is a good game, but it hasn't sunk its teeth into me where people are like, I can't put it down. Dude, I play it for a few hours. And I'm like, I'm willingly putting it down.
I wouldn't get off video game talk, but like, just keep playing that game. Like it's a gem. It's my game of the year so far. I know we're still in February, but like, it's legitimately a 9, 10 type.
It's definitely a very good game objectively. It just hasn't gotten addicted.
Does Spider-Man 2 come out this year?
Yes. And
then nothing Jordan says about reviews matter. Spider-Man 2 is going to be his game of the year regardless. In the year of 2023, Jordan's game opinions don't matter.
Yeah, Jordan's game of the year will have a caveat. Like he'll say like, no matter what, my game of the year is Spider-Man 2. But like, regardless of that, this is my
whatever
game
comes up in second place is probably like the objectively better game of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Survivor. I don't know why we're playing this game with you. I absolutely, I think from releases, I could guess what your top 5 of this year are going to be.
I feel like this might be fun. This might be fun to do on this podcast, even though it's something slightly game related. It might be fun that we'll look back at later.
I do like the idea. Honestly.
Okay.
I am willing to bet that I can guess Jordan's, and we will put it on record in this podcast in December 2023.
I don't know why I was reaching to my phone to write this down. Like, this isn't going to be immortalized on the fucking internet.
Like, we're not recording it. I just need to pull up game release schedules.
Because here's the thing, Liaron's assuming Jedi Survivor is going to be my second one. I think Liaron forgets about a certain game that is supposed to come out this year.
I probably am.
Give me a hint.
Austin, you love these people's other games.
I love these people's other games. Starfield.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot that comes out this year. You've been talking about Starfield for it feels like since I moved to California in 2020. So like,
I 100% have.
Like, I feel like it has to be out by now. You've been talking about it for so long that every time you're like, oh, it's not out yet. I'm like, how? Like, I keep forgetting about that game. Okay, so let me pull up. Is Game Informer a good resource?
That's what fantastic.
That's what I just pulled up.
I'm gonna skip Game January
Informer
because
2023 because they do have a 2022 one that still pops up on the search.
Yeah. I have 2023 because I see Forspoken.
Okay, you're good.
All right, let's see here. There's nothing else in February that's gonna release that's gonna make Jordan happy.
Well, no, I don't know. I'm just.
Jordan doesn't play Destiny, and I feel like that's the only other like
big thing. Yeah.
Huge release
Octopath
coming.
Traveler 2. I can't wait to play that game when I'm done with Atomic Heart.
I love the HD 2D art style. Can't get into those games. I like pixel art objectively, but any game that's pixel art, I'm like, it's got to be like a 4-hour game. It's not holding my attention too long.
I love Octopath, and it came out of nowhere. Like,
listen, I know people have been like, hey, we need to get Pokemon games in the Octopath art style. Here's my hot take, because I played a few demos after that last Nintendo Direct. The Star Ocean art style is what we should get a Pokemon game in at some point.
Star Ocean. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of Sea of Stars, that indie title. That game looks.
Maybe that's what I meant. I think that is 100% what I meant. Star Ocean is like Final Fantasy in space.
Anyone watching this, keep your eyes on Sea of Stars. That game is going to kill. It's so good. I played the demo. It's great.
All right, so I'm looking at games that are releasing this year, and I'm going to go ahead and say that there are so many games on this list that have no release date.
And keep in mind, we're also only in February. We are less than 24 hours away from a Pokemon Direct, which could put this whole fucking...
Yeah, the Pokemon Direct tomorrow could really fuck me, but like, we know that going in.
Just keep your 5 spot for Pokemon. Like, I'm not joking.
Honestly, just have it open. Well, because the other thing that I was thinking I'm just going to put in at number 5 right now is Mega Man Battle Network, just because Jordan has not shut up about it for the last, 8 months, it feels like.
Hey, I willed that game into existence.
Yes, you did, sweetie.
Would you objectively say that that's good? That's like Game of the Year material, though? Like
for Jordan, yes.
End of the year? I mean, fair. I'm just, I don't know, because I understand the Spider-Man thing, because that's like a genuinely like game of the generation type quality of a product.
Yeah, I'm just happy to have a bunch of GBA games ported to the Switch.
Battle Network would be like an honorable mention in my mind. Type of
deal. So yeah, absolutely, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is going to be Jordan's number 1.
Easy.
Like, that's not a debate.
No.
Unless Starfield, I'm saying this because Starfield is not out yet. Unless it underperforms in a way that Jordan could never predict, I'm going to say that Starfield is going to be number 2. I'm just saying that because Jordan and I have had games before that were like Gotham Knights, that we were like, yes, I wanted so bad, and then it was fucking terrible. Go watch our review on Gotham Knights.
I think we said this.
If that was your genuine like lead up to it, that's kind of on you, because I don't think anyone thought Gotham
when
Knights
the game was
It's
first
absolutely
announced.
my fault.
No. I'll say this about Gotham Knights. When the game was first announced, I was like, I am all in, and everything made it like every next reveal made it a little worse than the next, and like now
when they revealed that Barbara Gordon learned to walk again through the sheer force of will, everybody was like, "Oh no, oh no!"
So I'm calling this right now. This is a media club takeover because this is all video games. All right, this is we can have SSP and then just have the logo just smash right into it, and
that's totally fine. Yeah, so I'm going to go with that. I've looked at this list of what I have access to today, February 26th, 2023. Marvel Spider-Man 2 is absolutely going to be your number 1. I'm putting Starfield absolutely at your number 2. I'm for now keeping number 5, Mega Man Battle Network. Because I feel like that's going to be one of those things that we lose Jordan to for a couple of days.
Jordan, I don't know your taste on Zelda.
Jordan loves Zelda. That's also going to be on there.
I've only ever the first Zelda game I ever played was Breath of the Wild, and then I played
it's a good first one,
Skyward Sword, and then I played Link's Awakening. The Zelda games that I'm like, hey, at some point I'm gonna play these: Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker. Like, I think those are like 5 I really, really want to play.
That's fair. Link's Awakening, like the remake, was the only Zelda game I've played and beat. Like, I've dabbled with Breath of the Wild, but I only put like a few hours in. I'm like, yep, this is not for me. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just not.
I like them as games. I don't fucking know about the timeline, man. I don't give a shit.
No, I think Jordan but the way Jordan talked about Breath of the Wild is like every man on the internet talks about Breath of the Wild, that it's God's gift games, even though I'm like,
not me.
Not for me either, Austin. I got through 15% of that game, told Jordan I was bored as fuck, and never played it again, to the point that when he visited, I gave the copy back.
The thing that surprised me is that I recommended it to you because you loved Immortal Phoenix
Rising. And like, this is the proof that people need to stop comparing those games. They're not similar. Like, they're not even remotely similar.
I think they're similar, like in style of like what they're going for. I don't think the execution is nearly on the same pace, but
and like the mechanics are not
sure
remote. Like, you within like the first 5 minutes of the game, they're like, all right, you can ride a horse. Here are horses. You just have to convince them that you're nice enough to ride them, which is just you push a button. And then you don't like. Your weapons don't break, which is the most annoying shit on the planet.
Aaron,
I don't know who came up with that.
As someone who's not as dialed in to games as like we are, like that is a huge
argument
thing in video games where people hate the degradation.
I hate it. I hate it.
So many people
awful.
Here's the thing, Laren. So many people were like, Laren's opinion sucks. Then they heard you say that, and they're like, Laren's opinion rocks.
Yeah,
yes.
Like, I hate it. Because it's not even the weapons that pisses me off. It's that you're not giving me a horse for so much of this fucking game. And Link runs at the speed of a toddler. Like, he's so slow. So
you gotta collect the little seeds and go pray and get more stamina.
Anyway, I do.
Just give me a fucking horse.
We should move on to what other titles he's gonna have in his.
Yeah, I want to see your 3 and 4 spots.
So my
I have some dark horse picks that could make it if you're still looking.
My number, yeah. Oh, so what game did we? So I think Breath of the Wild sequel that I already forgot the name of.
Tears of the Kingdom, which is the reason they did not air that in the UK when they announced that. At the Nintendo Direct, where they gave us the name, they were like, hey, in honor of the Queen, this won't be airing in the UK. Like, the British people are going to have to watch the American version. And it's because, like, a week after the Queen died, they announced a game called Tears of the Kingdom.
This is like when Disney designed a ride that was you being chased high speed through LA by paparazzi, and the day it was supposed to open, Princess Diana died.
Oh.
Being chased through streets by the paparazzi. And they had to completely overhaul the ride.
You know what I found out recently?
Bad. What?
The episode of SpongeBob, Band Geeks, of course, the one everybody likes. Remember how there's that part where like those two guys spin the batons and they fly up and then they hit the blimp? That aired 4 days before 9/11.
It's one of those things where sometimes you write something and then the world has other plans.
Well, see, that's one of those days like, oh, if they switched fucking release order on one SpongeBob episode, that episode would have gotten delayed indefinitely.
Yeah.
Someone somewhere's like, this is my favorite episode, and then that happened. They're like,
that's most people's favorite episode, I'd argue.
Because
I meant like writing wise.
Oh yeah, that writer's like, I'm so proud of this. Everybody's gonna love this, and then it's like, yikes. So yeah, I definitely think I think Tears of the Kingdom, just because when we were in college, Jordan was playing Breath of the Wild, and we used to talk on the phone for 2 hours, but we didn't talk. I did homework, and Jordan played Breath of the Wild. We just sat on the phone with each other.
I want to keep in mind, I didn't graduate early. We were both in college.
I was just gonna say I didn't graduate. It's because of video games.
And so, I would do homework, and every once in a while I would hear Jordan go, "You fucking asshole," talking to something in the Zelda game. So I'm going to go ahead and say that like my top 3 slots are Marvel Spider-Man 2, Starfall, Breath of the Wild. Starfield, sorry.
I think you mixed Redfall and Starfield because they're both Bethesda titles.
Yeah, probably.
Listen,
sure.
It's all a mess in there.
Redfall is going to be the most fun weekend I have this year.
Redfall looks awesome.
It looks legitimately good, but it is also one of those times like it's going to be a fun weekend, man. It's going to be a great weekend.
Totally agree.
And then for like,
go ahead.
Number 4, for like that last one, I don't know. I feel like those are your 4 big ones.
Dark horse pick, Jordan. What's your opinion on Advance Wars?
So at first I was like, what is this? And then you and Alec, I think it was one time before a meeting, and you're like, just check it out. So I found like an online GBA emulator. I have no shame in saying that. And I kind of just started playing on the side, and I think I was silent like 20 minutes in the meeting, and I went, I get it now. And like I've played through a few of the introductions. I'm ready for Advanced Wars. Only ever played through some of the intro of the original GBA one, so I don't know anything about Advanced Wars 2 or the DS titles.
Sure. I mean, same, but like, I think you understand Dark Horse. Like, it's possible. It's possible for this little guy, this little title.
Yeah, I think those are I think it's those are going to be your big 4, and then anything else is just going to be like something that performs like super well.
Ooh, the new Final Fantasy is coming out too.
Okay, Jordan, do you like those games? Because I thought you really liked those games because you forced me to watch cutscenes. And then I said something about it in the meeting and you were like, I don't care about Final Fantasy all that much. And I was very confused.
Okay.
I think he
This is slowly turning into Lee Aaron just airs out her grievances about Jordan.
Oh, and I'm sure you have a bunch.
Nothing new. Record. That's every podcast.
I would not call myself a Final Fantasy fan because I've played 15, 7 remake, and half of Crisis Core Remastered. There is roughly 20 other Final Fantasy games I've never seen or touched. And 15, there's 15, like, I know people are like, the story wasn't that good, or it was hard to follow. But there's some people that are like, 15, it's got the sauce. There's something about 15 that's the sauce.
I'm going to be honest, though. Here's the thing. I know that the game is called Final Fantasy 15. I'm aware of that. But in my brain, I went, that's hyperbolic. There's no way there's fucking 15 Final Fantasy games. And what I'm learning here is that number is not necessarily hyperbolic.
No, because on top of like 1 through 14 before 15, there's tactics. I think there's multiple tactics. Like there's spin-offs, there's other things. There's a shit ton of Final Fantasy games.
And that's not even accounting for like the confusion of like the West releases. Because like 1 through like 4.
4 and 5 came into the West as 1 and 2 or 1 and 3 or something like that. And so I don't know what Final Fantasy 1 is, man.
It's very confusing. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that totally makes sense.
At what point do they become Kingdom Hearts?
What? Don't ask that
Kingdom Hearts is already Final Fantasy.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm calling it right now. Do not ask that fucking question.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know.
God. Okay, I'm
Listen, Austin, my biggest release this year is The Wolf Among Us 2. That should really tell you how I am with games.
Is that coming out this year?
Mm-hmm.
Are
We don't have
sure?
a release date yet, but it's coming out this year.
Yeah, I don't know what's coming out.
I don't know if that's definitely going to happen, but if they gave me a trailer and it looked very fun, and if they take it away from me, I'm going to be a little upset.
That's fair. Yeah, Liren, I think your top 3 are right. I think Pokemon takes 4 or 5. And then
listen, I'm gonna be honest. I hope there isn't a Pokemon game this year. I need
I
Game
agree,
Freak to
but there will
slow the
be.
fuck down, man. There are so many great ROM hacks. There's so many different ways I could go back and play another game. Like, they need to slow down a bit.
Dude, I've been saying that for years. I agree
Yeah.
with that sentiment. I just know it's Pokemon and they're going to put
I
something
think
out at the end of the year.
2022 or like I guess November 2021 into November 2022 was like everyone going, you see what you could have done if you just slowed down.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm hoping if they do something, it's like a remake of Heart Gold or something. But that will never happen. But I can dream.
Can I ask a question that I hope is not
I don't know, because
controversial?
your question
this
before
is always fun.
made me almost panic and have a panic attack right here on the podcast. So
If you guys could, I know there's been like a lot of like, I don't play Pokemon, but there's been a lot of debate around like what makes Pokemon good and what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing and like what people would want to see in a game, especially I feel like with Arceus this year. If you guys could make your perfect Pokemon game for like the next, I don't fucking know, Tiger and Diamond or whatever, I don't fucking know. If you could
I like
make
how
the
it's
next,
Tiger and not like it's not Tiger and Leopard or Tiger and Bear. It's Tiger and Diamond.
I don't know.
Pokemon Pop Can and Pokemon Lipstick coming to you 2023.
Pokemon Tiger and Diamond sounds like the name of like 2 escorts that you'd be hiring.
It sounds like a stripper and her pimp.
Anyway, go on.
If you guys could create that next like piece, what would you like want to see?
For me personally, I'm conflicted because like my perfect game is a game that I could have played when I was like 10. Right now, the perfect game for me wouldn't be the like sprawling huge open world because I don't have the time for that.
Mhm.
But like that would be the perfect game. It's basically, in my opinion, what was Violet and Scarlet? It's very similar to that, but just having all the regions already there that you can go between, like at will. Essentially, you can fly between the islands.
I've always liked that idea, and I've also heard people being like, there's a very famous ROM hack out there, Radical Red, which does put every Pokemon into one game. Granted, they're all in one region, so that's what I think makes it be like, hey, logistically this doesn't work because how are you squeezing all these into this location? I like the idea that this hypothetical story or whatever that is taking place across all the regions, the main plot should be that this is not an original idea. This is something I found online. But the thing that the evil team is doing is they're ruining the Pokemon the computer system, like how you get to store your Pokemon in PCs and go to the Poke Centers. And so what it does is when you're going to each region to fix it, you are like, you go through Kanto, 8 gyms, fix the computers there, good. You go to Hoenn next. The computer system only lets you transfer Pokemon's levels 1 through 10. So you can't use any of your old guys. And that kind of forces you to restart every once in a while. But then it also gets really fun where by the time you're like at your 3rd Elite Four, you can use your best from each region.
Yeah,
Would you guys?
I also don't want a gimmick. No gimmick. Fuck the gimmick.
Yeah, no more. I won't even say no gimmick. Settle on one. I don't even care which fucking one at this point.
So we agree the gimmick needs work.
What's the gimmick?
Like, okay, so at first
like
there was
Gigantamax. That's
yeah.
So everybody thought after with X and Y that like Mega Evolution was just going to be like a thing now, and it's like, and then they kind of continued it in Sun and Moon, but they didn't give us new ones. They just brought them back and they added Z moves. And then they're like, neither of those are a thing now. Here's Dynamax, which only works in the UK region, and now Terastallizing only works in the Spain and Portugal region.
Terastallizing is so stupid. I hate Terastallizing.
I think it's fun in its own way.
I like its purpose of changing the type, but what? They look stupid as hell. You look like
the hat thing is dumb, but
it's so dumb.
I'll tell you the moment Terastallization, I was like, you're not so bad. When I got to see Sudowoodo actually be a grass type, I was like...
So would there be a world where like Pokemon fans would like a game that was like these are not good comparisons. Remember, I have very limited knowledge of video games, but that were more like certain Assassin's Creed games and certain like Immortal Phoenix Rising and all these things where you travel to like the map is a bunch of different regions and you travel between regions and then be like the fake London and the fake Paris and the fake Brazil and it be a story that ties all together. Is that something that like people wouldn't, is that like too big of a story for a Pokemon game?
I think the reason it becomes too big of a...
Oh, wait, you guys don't agree. I'm excited.
No, go on.
It's not that I've always wanted I could go anywhere and do anything. I think the thing that stops that from wanting to be like a full-on game is the idea that after you beat 8 gyms and 1 region's Elite Four, you have to kind of force yourself to start over. Or do you make it that now you're fighting this new region's gyms, but they're power scaled to you? So you go to like, you go to Brock and suddenly Brock's got like level 70s and stuff, but we're still dealing with 8 gym leaders per region. So 8 times 9, that's like 54 gym leaders that you'd have to fight. That's not getting into the Elite Four.
Well, remember, this doesn't have to follow any of the old games. This is, and I want everybody to know, I'm not trying to start shit by doing this. I'm legitimately curious. Pokemon is a thing that I've played one game. Boys around me when I was in elementary school played the card game, but like I cannot get into. And I'm fascinated. I love listening to people argue about like what would make the next good Pokemon game. I'm coming into this with like very pure intentions.
I think actually if they were to do something where it's like, hey, you go to any region kind of at any reasonable point, like we're not going to block you off too hard. At that point, part of me goes, fuck it, man, make it an MMO. Let me meet trainers on my journey on the way there. Like one of the things that me and Austin said when we did our Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in review is that when we went online with friends and like got to take our Pokemon out of the Pokeballs during a picnic, it was the closest it felt like living in the anime, where Ash, Brock, and Misty would take a break and all they're like, hey guys, come on out, because you got to feed those things. They're still alive.
I agree with that aspect, but I felt like more like the anime in Arceus when you're like doing these little side quests where like the Drifloons were stealing children and shit, and you're like, okay, this makes sense. Like I would hear this in a storyline for an episode. Like that. Yeah. That to me felt like the anime, but I understand what you're getting at. See, the whole region thing, 2 things. They just need to introduce level scaling for like key people, or just have it be very obvious that before you do this, you need to be essentially Elite Four level. But also, if they were going to make a game that had several regions, it would take like 20 years because that's just how Game Freak operates. They're a tiny team. They would have to get help from other studios, and that will never happen.
Which is why part of me goes, yo, slow down, guys. Take your time making a really good game.
But yeah, Game Freak is what, like 50 people? Like it's not.
Yeah, and then recently they also said something about like they're like, we want to make stuff that's not just Pokemon. I was like, hey, slow down, guys.
I mean, I saw the town. It was fine. It was okay. But yeah.
Like the movie with the nuns that murder people?
No. Game Freak made a game just called Town, which was basically Pokemon. It was almost just a Pokemon game.
It was like Pokemon, but like with humans. It was really weird.
Interesting. Hello.
The Final Fantasy fans are now going to be like, that's just fucking turn-based combat, you idiots.
Yeah, I do think a lot of issues could be saved with level scaling, and level scaling is something that I think they're afraid of doing because it just eliminates a lot of other aspects that they introduced or in earlier gens and stuff.
The other thing I'd really like is if they gave us like, even if it wasn't a new region, but it was like I guess a remix of an old region. Mm-hmm. Instead of adding new Pokemon and new forms, give us a regional dex that is so randomly comprised of a mixture of regions.
You're literally describing Arceus, a remix of a region.
But Arceus was Pokemon? Okay. But the thing is, Arceus, for the most part, they had to have every Gen 4 Pokemon in Arceus, and so you have every Gen 4 Pokemon and their families if evolutions were not introduced in Gen 4, right?
Sure, I guess.
But I'm talking like, so you kind of knew that like, oh, there's going to be a shit ton of Starly in Hisui, but there wasn't going to be a Pidgey.
Sure.
Give us one where it's like, oh yeah, no.
And then they implemented a system that would allow that to happen, like those warps or whatever, the rifts or whatever they were, where they could just throw in random ass Pokemon. That's the only reason I caught a Magnemite, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah. Or how Porygon's in it. It's like, you're not invented yet.
Was Porygon in there?
Apparently, Porygon's in Legends Arceus, which makes no fucking sense.
I had my Pokedex almost done except for like 2 Pokemon, and I
Well,
swear
apparently
to God,
that's who you're
wasn't
missing.
Porygon. No, I don't think it was. That's the thing.
Austin,
One of the
I'm
last ones I
telling
got
you,
was Magnemite.
because it's a whole thing where people are like, "How the fuck is Porygon in this game?"
That's my brain right now. I'm like, what?
But what I mean is, like, I look at like the Gen 5 regional decks, which was like when they were like, hey, no old Pokemon until post game. You have to kind of use our new guys. And the one thing that obsessed me about the Gen 5 regional decks is it's such almost at some points a carbon copy of the Kanto decks, where it's like, instead of Zubat, they literally gave you one called Swoobat, and it's just psychic flying instead of poison flying.
Yeah.
But you still have, fighting types that are trade evolutions, and so that's basically the Machamp line, and then you still have 2 fighting types that are counter each other. So it's so one-to-one, where I'd rather it be like, oh, hey, in the water, you'll find a Poliwag, but in the sky, you're only going to find Tailo. And so, like, it's kind of like this mishmash. I think that would be very fun.
Sure.
Would you guys ever like a Pokemon game that, like, in Sword, I think is the one I played, the red one.
I don't know which one you played. I know you played one of the Galar games.
Yes. They were very clearly pulling on the UK, and it felt like they were trying to create lore that, like, didn't feel like enough. Like, I had to go find it, like, a deer in the forest or some crap like that. I don't fucking know. I think it was what?
Are you talking about when you have to go to the forest to fight the legendary?
Sure.
like the major plot point?
Yeah. I go into the woods, I pass out the first time. My annoying ass friend with the sheep is like hanging out, and he's like, what the fuck happened? I don't know. And then we go back in with some adults, and it goes a little bit better.
That was like the very beginning, right?
I don't like toxic masculinity, but I look at Hop and I'm like, you fucking pussy.
I hate Hop. I think Hop is why I didn't like the game. Is Hop drove me
That's
crazy.
another thing. That's another thing. Our rival needs to be a rival again.
So here's the thing. I don't think the rival has to be a jerk like the first 2 games, because I think one of the better rivals.
I do.
But here's the thing. I think the rival just actually has to be scary to fight at points. You're like, oh fuck, like it's a challenge that's reapproaching. Because I also think you can tell a good story. Like, look at Gen 4. The rival is your best friend who's got like undiagnosed ADHD, and he's like a fun rival. I'm not making a joke. This guy is always late and yelling, and like that is his character in those games. He basically is just like, yeah, he's got ADHD.
Hop, I just always felt like if I beat Hop one more time, he was going to sneak in my hotel room and like slit my throat. Like, it really felt like I was just pushing Hop to the edge.
Yeah. I want my rival to be a dickhead again, and I want
because they've been nice for so long
that actually challenge me, and like I want him to have my weakness. I don't want to have the weakness for the Pokemon that you pick at the beginning.
That's why I'm also a fan of like the more cast of characters thing, where it's like almost like a 2 rival system, where one gets the weaker one gets the stronger one.
Sure, I feel like that muddies the water. You get like 70% good and 70% good, and you don't get the full package. It's just kind of like there's good aspects for each character type of deal.
Just because it's inevitable that someday we'll go back to Kanto. The next Kanto remake needs to give us the Professor Oak fight that was cut from the original games. Because, Austin, do you know about this?
Vaguely.
So there was supposed to be like, Professor Oak was supposed to be like kind of like a post game after the Elite Four. He was like gonna challenge you, and like he had higher levels than the champion and whatnot. And part of his team was he was going to have the 3rd starter that neither you or Blue picked.
Fire.
Yeah.
Well,
not necessarily fire.
Not fire type. I meant like that. That's dope.
Cool. Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, so where I was going with this, it's like, I think they do regions that have really, really cool like mythos that could help them inform their lore a little bit more. Is there a region that you would love to like see them pull from, just because they have like cool like mythical monsters or animals that actually only live there?
I just want a Pokemon where kind of like Arceus, but that deals with Celebi. Celebi to me was the coolest legendary that I've ever had any like interaction with in a game.
Okay,
I thought that was the dopest shit.
Austin.
Yes.
So this is a thought I've had the past few weeks, and I haven't been sure like how to say this on Twitter without starting like a fire. Or I've even considered making a video on it. However, and I say this as somebody who loves the Johto region. I love Johto's Pokemon. I think there are such giant flaws with the Johto games that they need to be like. I think I would love to see like a much better version of that region. And I don't shame the Gold and Silver for being the way they were because they didn't know what a Pokemon sequel was at the time. I'm more mad at Heart Gold and Soul Silver for it because Johto almost feels like it's Kanto DLC because it was like, hey, it's the first region.
It's Kanto DLC and then DLC on top of that.
Basically, yeah. It's like Johto became the Kanto expansion pass and then Kanto became an expansion to Johto. But I saw a video or a picture, of a list of every Johto native Pokemon that gym leaders have. 4. There are 4 native Johto Pokemon that the gym leaders use.
Yeah.
It is so reliant. It is so reliant on Kanto Pokemon. There are some Johto Pokemon that are only found in Kanto, which that makes no fucking sense. Like, why isn't Houndour just a Kanto Pokemon? And like that's something.
Oh no! I say Houndour.
I go back and forth on it. I usually am a Houndour guy. I go back and forth.
I'm going to share to you my motivation for this question in our general chat on Discord because I also
don't even remember
the
question. If I'm being honest,
would you want to see them? Like, is there an area that you would want to see them pull on like a myth from? What inspired this question is there's a German mythological creature. Its name is a Volterpinger, and whatever you're picturing is wrong. I'm sending a picture in our general on Discord right now of what this little monster looks like, and I want to see the Pokemon, like them make it cute, and it just be this cute, adorable little monster rabbit.
Why is my brain saying this already exists, Jordan?
Does it? Is there a bunny with antlers? The idea of rabbits with antlers is very funny to me. It's the other reason I enjoy this.
I like how you keep pointing out the antlers and not the wings.
Well, you know.
I might just be thinking of what was the deer legendary thing in the previous game? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it was
the previous game.
Legendary in Sword and Shield.
Yeah. Like the DLC followed like this this dude.
Calyrex and it was 2 separate Pokemon that
deer, they were dogs. Sorry, they weren't deer. They're dogs.
No,
wolves.
You're thinking of the box legendary. Also talking about that legendary that came out in the DLC where you get to choose whether to make it Ice Ghost or Ice something else.
And wasn't the... Oh, wait.
He was like a little dude with a giant head, and then he sat on a horse, and it became a new Pokemon.
Yeah, and I could have swore he was also in Sword and Shield, the base game, kind of. Right?
No, he was all DLC.
Really?
Here's the thing. It's maybe if you buy the DLC and then start a new file.
Maybe.
But as far as I know, he was just in the Crown Tundra.
I have like a memory
is it
of, like,
this thing?
something to do with
is
him,
what you're talking about, Jordan?
In the base game.
Let me turn my brightness down so you guys can actually see what I'm trying to show you.
I mean, honestly, it's so pixelated, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It is, but I can still tell it is.
Because of how Zencaster works.
Because it has that big tomato thing on its head. Oh, I see. That it started out as like that thing then gets on a horse and it becomes like, a new thing.
That thing and the horse are each their own Pokemon. And then
they come to... Oh, it's like that tree in the desert.
Sure. Yes.
There's a type of tree in the desert that like there's the base tree that's big and strong, and then there's the little tree that grows around it, and neither can survive without the other one.
So it's just mama and child?
Kinda, yeah.
Cool.
If mama and child then release spores to make more mama and childs, however you choose to
The
look at
Last of Us.
Yeah.
You said spores. So
yeah. Honestly, that's what's going to be my game of the year this year. I finally get to play it on PC in March.
I think you say my game of the year is The Last of Us HBO show.
Honestly, yeah.
Here's the thing. Would anyone get upset?
I mean, yes, but I feel like they'd be upset, but they'd be like, I get it. But I'm still upset. Yeah. but I'm upset.
But yeah, no, Austin, I want to see a Johto game that fixes the inherent issues with Johto so badly, because it is so reliant on Kanto Pokemon in a way that is upsetting. I actually played a ROM hack last year that, like, for the most part, did not change much about the games, other than like, oh, hey, some of these evolution required items are in stores, and like you can evolve your Pokemon without having to trade them because you're playing this on emulator. But the other thing the person did was like, I'm not trying to make this a difficulty hack. They just went and replaced who the aces were. So all the aces were Johto Pokemon. So like Falconer, instead of having a Pidgeotto for some fucking reason, has a Noctowl, like he fucking should, because like, dude, this upsets me. Like I've opened up a door.
That was his ace? It was a Pidgeotto?
Uh-huh.
Oh, Falconer. I'm sorry. I thought Lieutenant Surge for some reason.
No,
My bad,
no.
dude.
And then like Bugsy's ace is a Scyther rather than a Scizor.
I mean, I love Caesar though.
So do I. So do I.
I love
But
Caesar.
but my point is, like, use the Pokemon from, and I don't even care if gym leaders from further out use a few throwbacks here and there.
Sure.
I just think that game looks at itself as like, we're Kanto plus.
Sure. I know what
rather,
you mean.
and so I think something that would actually be really interesting would be give us the Johto games during when, because it's like there's that 3-year time jump when you're playing Gold and Silver.
Mm-hmm.
Give us whatever the fuck was happening in Johto during Red and Blue.
Yeah, I love everything you're saying, but I
Here's the
think
other thing.
my dream game has to do with Celebi. It's an Arceus type Legends game, but you go through different time periods.
Gotcha.
And you still have the agile and strong style when you're in the past or whatever. Maybe there's a different not a gimmick, but like something slightly different with how just like the combat is. And then you can go to like 3 different time periods and you still throw the Pokeball like normal, because that's something I fucking love about that game. But yeah, I think that would be my dream title.
I want a Legends Johto title to be actually about Ho-Oh, just because I want them to canonize the fan theory that the mystical beasts were evolutions.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the fan theory where Ash is in a coma.
No.
The whole time.
I want, honestly, if I could make a Legends game, I want to see them make a game where it's like primitive people with the primitive Pokemons, because it was so cool to me that Arceus, they kind of like in my mind, it's like Horizon Forbidden West, or like if you guys watched Prey on Hulu, like that, but like
that's a good ass movie. Honestly.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. Like, and then you have like, instead of Predator, you have these like big Pokemon, like in the same way that there used to be like all these big dogs, and because we started to domesticate canines, they like got smaller, and now you have ones that like fit in my hand.
She wants Shadow of Colossus, but Pokemon.
Yeah,
and using the Paradox Pokemon from Scarlet.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Dude, I think the Paradox. Here's the thing. I like the Paradox Pokemon Scarlet. I think the Paradox Pokemon from Violet all suck.
Dude,
because
I hated how
they're just all robots, and evolution doesn't mean we turn into robots, and it upsets me so much.
And they had the dumbest fucking names.
Well, all the Paradox forms have those dumb names, and I think that's just to be like, hey, these are not real.
They all look like they fucked Magnemite, and it didn't work. It just didn't work. Or monstrosities. But
they all look like they need to be electric steel because they're robots.
True. Random Pokemon thought, Lyran. There's a Pokemon called Absol. Do you know who Absol is? Have you heard of this?
It sounds familiar.
He's the dopest. Oh, sorry.
I love the
dopest Pokemon. They're called a disaster Pokemon. They have disaster sense, and they just show up and save everyone.
It's a whole thing in the anime where it shows up before natural events because it like has that premonition, but the townspeople just think that whenever it shows up, it's bad luck.
See, this is what I mean that I want more of in Pokemon, is that like this Pokemon, they think it brings bad luck, and like look how cute it is.
Absol's like in my top like 3. Like I love Absol.
Absol.
Also, unpopular opinion, I love Raichu. Just saying. I think he's better than Pikachu.
He should be, and then they made the fucking light ball an item.
I just think Raichu like looks cooler. I think like just as he's essentially a bigger Pikachu. And people are like, oh, he's slower. No, he's fucking not. That's just in the fucking anime. Fuck you. He's bigger. How is he slower?
Alolan Raichu, though.
Yeah, no, it's dope. And then any Raichu or Pikachu you find that's surfing, fuck yeah. It's always cool. Oh, why are they surfing? Why?
I think all of my favorite Pokemon are fire types.
That's pretty common.
I'm looking at a Pokedex, and it's like, I love Vulpix. Vulpix is my favorite little baby.
Vulpix is very popular. That's okay. Ninetales.
Awesome. I love Litten is one of my faves.
The
Flareon
lion thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it starts
Flareon.
as like a little cat. It's just a little cat, and then it grows into a lion, and it's fun.
It turns into a luchador.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is weird.
Even
okay, that's also a thing I don't like. How
humanoid the starters have become.
But it's only in stage 3 usually. Like I'm okay with them going on 2 feet.
Dude, I'm okay with it occasionally. The past few generations, the final forms of the starters just seem like furry bait on purpose.
Yes, so much. Have you watched MHA, My Hero Academia? Any of you?
I just started it.
There's a Pokemon that is essentially there's a character that is essentially Low Bunny. Okay. Like 110%.
All right.
And you're like, I'm into this.
Yeah.
All right.
But Leon, I know you asked like about what real world region we'd want. The reason why I don't think about that so much is because they used to pull on it less, and now it's like painfully obvious, but I guess not for some people. Me and Leon have a friend that didn't realize X and Y took place in France. And I looked at her and went, I'm not going to say her name, but I was like, I was like, but there's an Eiffel Tower in it. And she went, I know, and started dying laughing because then we had to point to Leon. The Eiffel Tower is not there in the background. It is like a very important piece to the story.
God.
But anyway, so sometimes they pull on it too much, like one of the British Pokemon being a cup of tea, literally.
Oh my god, those Pokemon need to stop. Like, I would rather you just have less Pokemon in this region. Like,
yes, some of the
keys, fuck it, get it out of here. The tea, I can get okay.
Some item Pokemon make no sense.
The teacup thing, because it's like a ghost type, and it's like the Pokemon isn't actually the teacup.
You can make anything a ghost type because of.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is like, I can get around that. I can accept that. I don't like it, but I can accept that because of like the Pokemon itself is like the glob on the inside. Like it's not the actual teacup, which is weird, but less terrible.
But you mean you don't like Chandelure?
I actually like Chandelure.
Okay, Chandelure is like popular because of like competitive stuff, isn't it? Isn't that why?
Yeah, I'm just talking about looks and aesthetics here.
Like,
oh no,
Chandelure is like they took the general design of a chandelier
Rotom.
and like mixed. Bro, Rotom at this point has been okay. Rotom and
Rotom
used to be almost like borderline legendary.
I'm trying to search it, but every time I try to guess how these Pokemon things are spelled, I like
Rotom.
If you Google Rotom and then go to image search, it's probably going to be like 30,000 different images because they can just be any kitchen appliance. So
basically, they're like a little.
Why is it motor spelled backwards?
I've never realized that.
Oh my god, guys, come on!
Okay. In our defense,
no.
There's Pokemon in the newest game called Vroom. It's a car.
Okay, here's the thing. Like, Ekans being snake spells backward is very obvious because Ekans is a snake. Rotom isn't a motor. He's like a little Christmas light that's alive and goes into electronics. And now in the anime, which I've been on a big anime kick, I'm going to be inconsolable when Ash leaves. I'm warning you all now. But everybody has a Rotom phone instead of a smartphone, and like it talks to them. And so like it pisses me off because Rotom used to be like borderline legendary. There was like one per save file, and now they're like, oh no, they're everywhere.
I love the terminology that Jordan's getting pissed off that a Pokemon can just do this. He's pissed off, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to my world, Austin.
Listen, I got banned on Twitter for it once, but Pokemon who I am led to believe are supposed to be legendaries and then turn out to be regular ass Pokemon upset me so much. I got banned for saying I was going to start a Lucario hate club and called him a furry ass looking bitch.
Fuck you.
I don't like Lucario. They gave that motherfucker his own movie, and for what? There's a million of them.
Lucario is fighting Mewtwo. All right? Just think, that's what he is.
He also has no reason to be a steel type. He should be fighting Psychic.
Alrighty. In this vein, I have a final question to wrap us up on. I'm aware I opened this door, but in the anime, because I've seen bits and pieces of the anime, there is like a heavy emphasis put on like the bond that Ash has with that Pikachu, and Misty has with the egg thing. Thank you.
Yes, the egg thing.
And that was always a draw for me when I was a kid, and like something I was bummed with in the game, and this may have been I played the game wrong, and the answer to this question can be I played the game wrong, but I didn't feel like there was an encouragement for me to like really bond with Score Bunny. Like when he was not useful, it was like very much encouraging me to like not use him, and that bummed me out.
Stupid. Score Bunny, like I understand you not bonding with Score Bunny.
Score Bunny's the best starter out of those three.
No. Yeah, like I loved him. I just felt like the game at one point was like, you need to use someone else than Score Bunny, and I was like, but
here's the thing.
Here's
the thing. All three of those starters suck, in my opinion, because the final evolution again is like humanoid bullshit. Well,
their final evolution isn't good.
The grass one's not terrible, I guess. I can get the
I also liked what they did with that one, where like that was a cool way to pull on. Like British, I don't want to say lore, but I don't know, like British, like pop culture.
British I don't want to say lore.
Because it's like Score Bunny's based off of soccer players, and then Inteleon's based off James Bond, and then Rillaboom's just based off like all the British rock stars.
But this is my issue.
You evolved, now you have a job. Here's an occupation.
But what I mean is like he's not. I'm happy that like he's not literally in a tux and bow tie.
But that's my thing, though, is I also didn't. I didn't understand he was supposed to be James Bond. Like, he was just a weird salamander that looked like it wanted to fuck me, and I did not enjoy that because I was a child.
Dude,
like
when when I saw this thing, all I could think of was Randall from Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
it.
I did
That's
not
it.
trust this motherfucker. I refused to I hated
Rightfully
it.
so.
But
Fuck
Lear,
Randall.
for what you're
Fuck
saying,
Randall.
the Bond thing, the anime gets to do so much more because it is an actual story. And so like you get things like, hey, Pikachu can fucking hit the sprinklers inside the gym and take down Onyx that
Which
way.
is super dope if they implemented that in the game somehow.
But the thing is, like, the
Made it
game
work.
you literally
What's in your
can't.
mouth?
What's in her mouth?
Give that to me.
What is
Shared
it?
Screens' favorite game show. What's in Cleo's mouth?
Sorry, she
Wait, hold on. Austin, what do you think it was?
Something with a cord hanging out of her mouth. You know what I mean? Like a string of some sort. Like she couldn't tell what it was.
My guess is a makeup brush. Leon, what was it?
No, it was one of those it's what attaches like a tag to clothes that she found in the garbage, and those are just really small and clear and a huge choking risk.
My cat will bring us socks, clean or dirty, and there's just a pile of socks, and I mean literally 20 to 30 socks in a pile. No exaggeration.
Not to get TMI, but before I moved to California, I thought I had somehow lost a bunch of underwear. And what we found when we were completely cleaning out my room in New York, Cleo had been stealing it from my laundry basket. And she had a spot under my bed she would sleep in next to a suitcase, and she was putting them in the suitcase. And so she just had all of this underwear of mine under my bed.
What a fucking pervert.
Right? It makes me very, it's very funny to me, but also, very weird. Because, she does it with my bras, too. She'll, when I come home from the gym and I'm, getting in the shower, I'll come out and she will have taken, my sports bra. And I'm like, why?
To bring it back to Liren, you said, there was an appeal to bonding with your Pokemon. Have you seen the episode Bye Bye Butterfree?
Yes.
Jordan, no, that thing broke me as a child, and it's if you just if I see Butterfree with that scarf on, I will literally just start crying. That it's game over, it's done. So that
Austin,
is the pinnacle.
Have you been paying attention to the episodes that are airing in Japan, or are you waiting for them to come to Netflix
on purpose? I'm not going through that again. I'm not doing it.
Oh, but you're not going to watch them when they come to America at all?
Maybe, but I will have to take a week off. I can't.
Austin's afraid of getting hurt again.
Yes.
Okay, I won't spoil anything.
My top 3 Pokemon, because of that episode, Butterfree's in there. I love that episode so much that Butterfree is in my top 3 Pokemon of all time.
But so yeah, the anime gets to do stuff because it's they also just can't use 4 moves for the entire duration of the show. That's not fucking exciting to kids.
Well, now in the newer games, you don't have to. You can just kind of swap and go. And,
That's true too. But versus the game, sometimes I have to be hey, yeah, you're going up against the water type gym. I'm very sorry that you love your Score Bunny, but it's probably not the best one to use.
Okay, but this is my issue. Ash brings Pikachu fucking everywhere with him, and nobody gives him shit about it. Pikachu almost dies in an episode because he's fighting something I feel like he should not be fighting.
To be fair, there's a game that kind of does that. Pokemon Yellow is essentially Ash and Pikachu, and they get around it in weird, I wouldn't even say creative ways. They just get around it.
Good.
Yeah.
Honestly, love that.
I get what you mean. It's one of those things that is just so hard to translate into a video game versus what if this was a real world? How could you do this stuff?
Yeah, I think I'm just learning turn-based. Sorry.
No, that's absolutely fine. You only need to do a half step. I don't want it to be so realistic that these Pokemon have to have rights in a government. You know what I mean? Let's not get into that. I don't want to have that conversation. Just do a half step to make it. It's relatively okay, I can get behind this.
Because Pokemon really, you start to think about rights and all that stuff, and it goes downhill real fast.
Oh shit! Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because for me it would be the big thing of I just want to, or Hop had his fucking sheep. He took that sheep everywhere with him.
That's another thing. If they had a Pokemon game where you don't have to be a trainer, where you could be a breeder, or you could be you could run a Pokemart, I don't know whatever you want to do.
I think that would be one of the other things in a dream Pokemon game is I don't even do the contests, but I feel if they gave basically, imagine if there were the gym Pokemon League equivalent of contests in a region. So if players wanted to do that instead, they could, because I think that's the second most common thing we see in the anime is if you don't want to become a trainer, some people become coordinator.
Well, because I think this is where all of this came from. Is my dream Pokemon game is I want to be one of the doctors.
Oh, you're
I
like
want to
Brock.
just study Pokemon. I want to go all
No,
over.
not like Brock. No, she does
No.
not want to be like Brock. I promise you right now.
You know what?
she does not
But
want to be like Brock.
he's a good Pokemon doctor in his own right, but also my man's thirsty. And you know
I was
what?
gonna
Game
say,
recognized game.
This
I just-
dude sees anything that's female and is like, "Hello, how are you doing? Let's go have a drink."
So yeah, I just get to I want a game where I can
Jane
just
doesn't have eyes.
travel all the regions and study little Pokemon and like
Yeah.
take their pictures and write books about them and like have
That's
mine
what-
that's my baby, like that ginger chick in the England one that has her little corgi thing with the lightning tail.
Oh, Sonia.
I'm giving
she becomes
great
professor.
descriptions.
She's talking about how Sonia with her Yamper becomes the professor.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say Fido. Fido.
Fido? Oh,
No.
Fido. Yeah, that's from the new games.
Yeah, and that's also stupid. It's a dog made of dough. It's fucking.
I don't know.
dumb.
Some of the pun names I'm here for. I won't lie.
I like
It's
Yamper
a
and I
good
like
pun
that he
name. It's
evolves
Good
into
Pokemon.
I like that he
Oh.
evolves into Bolton.
Yes,
As in Troy Bolton.
Yes, that is the only that I've only nicknamed 3 Pokemon in my entire life because I'm not a Pokemon nickname person. The first shiny I ever found in the wild, which is a Butterfree, gave it like an actual nickname, Vicroy, because there's some butterfly with green eyes in nature called the Vicarus or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't know the full Latin name. I nicknamed my shiny Arcanine in Pokemon Go RK9, like an R, a K, and a 9. So it's basically the same name.
I get it.
And I nicknamed my Bolthound Troy Bolton.
No, that should not be in the top 3. God damn it! Because I was totally creative as a child. I don't nickname. I think nicknames are stupid, but
I think nicknames are stupid too. Me and my family have an inside joke though about Sudowoodo. One time I just turned on one of my cousin's Game Boys and Pokemon Crystal was in there and I looked at the teams just to see what they had. And I'm looking like, who the fuck is this Pokemon? I click on it. Guess what they nicknamed Sudowoodo?
Tree Dick.
Mr. Tree.
Good.
And it is the funniest thing to us.
Fair enough. I was so creative as a child. I took Charmander and I named him Flame.
Dude, if the Pokemon anime gives us one more fucking trainer with an electric type nicknamed Sparky, I'm killing someone.
Okay, so this is the other thing that
Boink.
always drove me crazy with the anime is that like Ash loves Pikachu so much, but he didn't name this motherfucker. Like
Yeah,
Because-
but most of them don't.
I was
It's
gonna say,
actually pretty rare that the side characters nickname their Pokemon.
I
is
would
Ash
argue.
a side character?
I
I
said
would
it's rare that
argue-
it's rare that anyone nicknames their Pokemon, even side characters.
Yeah, I would argue that even when a Pokemon is introduced, like, oh, this is Bill, my fucking Nidoran or whatever. Like they say, oh, my Nidoran, Bill. It's not just Bill.
That's the other thing. It's
That's
like,
what I want. I want to live on an island where they refer to this is Bill, like as if it's their child.
yeah, Pokemon. Like Liren recommended a fantastic podcast, which I also recommend you listen to, called Big Hit Show, and they did like 4 episodes on Pokemon. And there was a thing where like they almost wanted to turn every frame into marketing, which is kind of what happens because you want a toy of any Pokemon, and so they kind of have to brand it now. Where if you watch the new anime, Team Rocket no longer has their own Pokemon. They have a Pelipper that drops down a machine, like a little vending machine. I'm not making any of this up. They put Meowth's coin. They flip Meowth upside down. They put his coin in the machine. They twist it, and they get 2 Pokeballs. And it's 2 random Pokemon. And what they literally do when Jesse and James take these Pokemon out, like also with the Pokeball comes a little slip of paper. And it's like, I'm only going to use this one because it's the only one I know. But this little paper, and then James will go, the electric Pokemon Elekid. Like they give him the Pokemon category and the name, and it like freeze frames on that Pokemon for a second. So like it's went into every frame is marketing to. There's so many of these. We basically have to educate the audience. Where like every time there's a ground type, there's like, remember Ash, don't use electric moves. They're invulnerable. And it's like, listen, I get it. I get you have to teach the kids how to play the fucking game. But it almost feels like it's in like if this was the Pokemon world, this would be like their Sesame Street or like they're teaching you shit.
Yeah, it's fair. I actually kind of like that idea for a character in a game. Like someone who like you keep running into, but their Pokemon are always just fucking random. Like I mean random level and everything.
I wouldn't go full WWE announcer.
I wouldn't go full RNG, but I do like the idea of like there's somebody that just wants to catch such different Pokemon that you never fight them with the same team.
And he shows up like once every town or whatever.
Yeah. But no, because I'll always find a way to bring it back to this, I guess. Ben 10 used to do something similar with marketing. Hear me out. Where in the original series, he just turned into one of the fucking aliens and it was cool. But in the second series, every time he turned into one of them, he would like yell their name. And it's so that way kids go, I know who that one is.
I get it, but fuck Ben 10. All right. Danny Phantom is where
those are
Phantom
fighting words.
Dopest
Danny Phantom is such a dope show.
I'm not saying it's the best. I'm saying it's the dopest.
Why are we pitting two queens against each other? Okay.
You also like Danny Phantom.
No, you've watched Danny Phantom?
I've never watched it beginning to end, front to back as an adult. I watched a lot of it as a kid, and I loved. Me and my friend as a kid used to imagine if Ben 10 and Danny Phantom crossed over. Come as an adult to find out that there is a crossover comic called 5 Years Later, which is exactly about that I might read someday. I don't know.
That's really cool. I'm totally into that. But no, Danny Phantom was one of the first cartoons, like little kid me, that I realized wasn't, what's the term? Okay, there's procedural and then there's like episodic. I don't like, right? Those are two different things.
And serial, procedural, and episodic. Yeah.
Well, it actually had like a story.
It had arcs.
The entirety of
That's
the show.
serial.
But okay, thank you. But it was still like made for kids. But it was still it was like kind of gritty.
Ben 10 does the same thing.
Okay, but Danny Phantom's cooler. He's dead and alive. All right, there's a ghost dimension, and he's alive in the ghost dimension.
But Danny Phantom is a cooler guy. Like Danny Phantom would be in my dream blunt rotation. I don't know if Ben 10 would be there.
To be fair, it's not fair that the Ben 10 everyone knows is the original series, and he's a literal 10-year-old, and Danny gets to be fucking 14 in his series.
14-year-olds are the worst. That's more credit.
But you could still give him like a level of more maturity and stuff.
He's not cool, and he's not mature. The entire show shows us that he's not a cool guy.
I want a genuine poll that which is cooler, Danny Phantom or Ben 10?
Austin, what if I told you that one of the aliens in Ben 10 in the original series was a ghost, and turned out that instead of being like just a copy of any DNA, that alien inside the watch gained sentience, tried to break out of the watch and kill Ben.
I think
that is an entire. That is like
as cool as Danny from the future trying to murder him after gaslighting him into believing that his entire family hated him. The entire storyline with future Danny is such a wildly and his dad's old partner, the blue guy, who's I can't think of his name right now. Vlad, thank you. Yes. The entire storyline.
You thought I didn't watch this fucking show.
The entire storyline with Vlad is some of the best TV I've ever seen. He spends an entire episode just gaslighting this child into believing he should like unalive himself. It's
not only wild. That. I remembered how much they hyped up Danny Phantom, the ultimate enemy, like as like this TV special. Like my cousin had a game that, which was not like a generic Danny Phantom video game. It was specifically based off that, like the marketing behind that, fantastic. The twist when I found out the ultimate enemy was Danny from the future, because I think everyone thought it was Vlad from the future.
Yeah. Well, because it looked like Vlad.
Yeah, and it was
just
Danny from the future.
We only saw his silhouette.
Yeah. And then it was Danny from the future, and I don't know what comparison to make, but I think
here's the thing. The reason that he looks like Vlad, and we all thought it was Vlad, is all set up. And if you watch the special, the entire thing is that Vlad kills Danny's entire family and all of his friends and destroys his high school for a show that came out 20 years ago. That he orchestrated this entire thing, then brought him to his home because it was the only person he could move in with, and manipulated him for like 6 years into being this like perfect little version. And then Danny finds out about it, freaks out, and murders Vlad. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, it sounds terrible. It sounds awful.
Okay, I'm not explaining it well, but it's
like as a story or like that happened to a kid.
Okay, I mean, I guess. Sounds terrible, but I'll watch it.
It's good when you watch, because what I just explained takes place over 4 episodes and a TV movie. So it's like 3 hours worth of content where they slowly explain all of this, and like it also gets into that whole like time paradox of Danny is trying to stop. Like Danny and the president is trying to stop what Vlad is doing, but every time it's like that Doctor Strange What If episode that was like the only good one, where it's like, what if, even though it had a stupid name, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart? Where he just
what if lost his heart instead of his hands? Like that, it's a fucking long title.
And because he's constantly trying to fix it, and he just can't. It's wild. It's so
die.
Good. Yeah.
That's what.
Oh, but Austin, his heart wasn't his.
His heart is Rachel
his heart.
McAdams.
Not anatomical. Oh.
His
Which
heart
honestly,
is Rachel
I get
McAdams.
I get it.
All right.
What would happen if his heart flew out and got crushed by the steering wheel? He would be dead. That's what.
You know, like Tony has the arc reactor. It's like Doctor Strange just has like a piece of magic in his chest that's just keeping things going.
Just keeping everything pumping.
Honestly, if I were him, I'd be like, hey, guess what? I could eat all the fucking hamburgers I want. I'm not getting heart disease.
Dude, you said I can eat all the, and for some reason, the only thing that popped in my head was Funyuns. I can eat all the Funyuns I want.
That too. He could eat anything he wants. He's not clogging. The magic has no arteries to clog.
Funyuns it is. Let's go.
All right.
Pokemon to Danny Phantom and Ben 10. I love
Before we sign off, I have one final thing that will take me all of 2 seconds.
I don't believe you.
Megan is now on Peacock. This is to the members of Shared Screens and anyone listening to this. I ask you to please watch this movie and then tweet at me whether or not you liked it, because I fucking hated this movie and like I feel like I don't get it. Like this is a movie that I truly feel like I'm missing something, and I need other people to watch it to tell me whether or not I'm crazy.
You're crazy.
Probably it's probably the like Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's like this is just not for me, but like everybody was
like
with
Guardians of the Galaxy?
I don't. It's just I'm not the target demographic, like target audience for that.
Leanne acknowledges though with Guardians, she's like, "Yeah, I'm just not fun."
No,
I'm
it's like what I said to my mom last week when she was like, "Are you okay watching The Last of Us? Because you cry at every episode." I was like, "Yeah, I seek out content that is like when you get a big bruise and you just push down on it because it hurts. I seek out content that makes me feel like that."
I do that too.
Yeah, like when Marriage Story, when the trailer came out, I was like, that's gonna make me sob. I'm absolutely watching it the day it came out. The day it came out, I watched it by myself and cried.
Like I'm the one who's like, I love main characters in anime where they're like, my whole family was murdered and I came back to not be a terrible person. I'm a hero now. It's like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're awesome. And then you see all the sadness leading up to it. It's like, oh, so
you
compelling.
show him, my sweet little boy. And then the other thing is everything we've been talking about with Ben 10 and Danny Phantom and even Pokemon. I'm gonna highly recommend this to everybody because I want the movies to get made. If you're looking for a story that's very similar to this, I highly recommend reading a book called Deadly Education. It hits all of these marks. It's really short. It's a quick Deadly Education.
Oh.
It is one of the best fantasy books I've ever read. Universal is making the first book into a movie, but the sequels are depending on whether or not the first movie gets enough hype. So I'm like slowly trying to convince everyone I know to listen to the audiobook or read the book so that all these movies get made. The team from Miss Marvel is making the movie, which has me even more amped. Like, I'm just telling you, Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. That is my recommendation for this week.
I didn't love Miss Marvel, so I thought it was good, but I didn't love it. So take that for what it is.
Yeah. I also do like that they're using that team just because the main character is Indian. Okay. So I feel like having Indian writers behind it is a really good idea.
They'll handle that aspect really well. I agree.
Well, that was a very fun episode talking about things from Pokemon to Ben 10 to Deadly Education, which Aaron wants everybody to go read. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. All our socials are down below. We will not do a media club because we don't do books on that, but we do talk about everything else. So remember to keep an eye on our videos, even turn on that bell, and we'll see you next time.
Follow us on TikTok.
Bye. Follow us everywhere.